Welcome to Allegedly Higher, where humor, insight, and passion collide with higher education. Hosted by Dr. Erin and Dr. Candice. Join them as they dive into headlines, interview leaders, and challenge norms. From dismantling systems to championing equity, this podcast is your go-to for transforming the ivory tower. Let's get into it.
Welcome to episode 3 of Allegedly Higher. I am your host, Dr. Erin. This is my co-host and partner in crime, Dr. Candice Jackson. Thank you. Hopefully you've been on this journey with us through the first 2 episodes. But if you're new here, if you just decide to hop on in at the end, this is a podcast where we dissect issues in higher education and present it with a human-centered lens and with a little bit of pop culture flair, humor, a little bit of sarcasm, all those good things. And together we're going to be your guides through the maze of academia. But we really, our real intention here is to not only repaint the ivory tower, that was our original thing, but as talking, we just want to knock it down and remodel it all together, right? So that is through every discussion, every piece of news we bring, every conversation we have. That is our intent. So thank you for joining us, and be sure to like and subscribe and tell your colleagues and others to join us on this journey. So thank you so much. Dr. Jackson, how was your week?
It's busy. Last week, I was on one of my second passions is filmmaking. So I was on set. I met Oba Babatunde, who was, the old man in life, and he was wonderful, personable. It was great. Got a picture.
And then, you look really great in your t-shirt, looking behind the camera. I like that photo on Facebook.
I got some really good stills, and being on set is always fun. And now I'm preparing for one of my other organizations, the Mary Church Terra Literary Club's annual fundraising luncheon. So I'm excited about that. I'm so ready for it to be over, but I'm so excited.
I know you are. You and me both. I'm a volunteer.
Right, you got it.
2 states and many cities away.
all of the things. And then, of course, you have to teach and work with students and go to meetings and meet about meetings and things like that.
And meet about meetings. God bless your heart. I don't miss it at all. I looked vaguely at some adjunct teaching positions, and I think I applied to one, and that was like an instant application.
And you're so good. You're so good at teaching it.
I don't know where I fit anymore. I could do intro level biology. I would love to adjunct teach in like a grad in a higher ed leadership. I know you don't give me that face. In an education department. But yeah, people don't know how to read my resume. And hopefully as you continue to listen to our podcast, you'll begin to know we didn't start with that, but you can read about it. So we'll post that on the podcast page. But yes, I have an undergraduate in biology, a master's in biology. And then I went from science to math education, but my experiences in student success, I'm all over the place. I can work in student affairs, academic affairs. So yeah, I don't know if
I always say when we work together that we did more in academic affairs than student affairs because of your background, right? We had so many activities. It's like student affairs is like, hey, y'all don't forget us over here. Get on the train.
That is my ultimate goal, is to marry the two so that there's not so much division and silos. Like we had a great time combining the two. We did a lot of creative academic mergers, making sure we had things in the res halls, knew about residential assistants, knew about all of our services, or not just knew, like we actually collaborated on events and projects together. So But yeah, I asked you about your week. I don't even remember
You don't
mine.
remember yours?
I thought yesterday was Thursday, so there we have it.
Well, it threw me off. Like, you had the solar eclipse that never was, at least for the state of
Nope.
Mississippi. Um, and so there's this beautiful TikTok I saw this morning when they were like, they asked this little boy, and he was, he's looking up at the sky with his glasses on, and she said, "Can you see anything?" He said, "This is a waste of my time. This is a waste of my time." It was just the sheer like, and so he's a metaphor for life. Like it was just a waste of. And
I
it's
missed the
all the
last
hype,
one.
right?
We were in Kentucky the last one I remember. I don't remember if I was at home. I don't know if it was a half day. I can't remember if it was a Saturday. I would just remember being so tired. I like peeked out the window, couldn't see it, and like I went to go lay back down. Like I didn't even try to
Girl,
I didn't
my
try to
whole
find it.
my whole 2 years and 4 days felt like a solar eclipse.
It's just a dark past. And we were looking for the sun. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
So I did that yesterday, the day before, because it was raining. It was cloudy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just didn't have it in me. Then the next day it stormed. So I think I'm
Oh yeah, I went home.
finally
Yeah.
getting back to normal today.
Storm sleep is the best sleep. So yes.
I tried to fight it all day.
Mm-mm.
All
For
day.
what?
I
Mm-mm.
don't know. I don't know why. I just felt like I had to. I'm still trying to get out of I'm still in this. I got to work 8 to 5, although I've been free from that for like several months. So
Mhm.
I have to be okay, but I end up working from like 10 to 12 p.m. I was very productive and I went straight to sleep.
But again, it kind of goes into this idea of that 8 to 5 mentality. But I want people at their most productive. I never,
Yeah.
and if those are your productive hours and you needed a 3 hour break to then, get yourself together, do something, step back, and then come back and be more productive, you get more from somebody in 4 hours than you can from 8.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if they give you a hard 4, sometimes it's better than a soft 8. It just really is. So
And
yeah,
once
you
you
did
think about
well.
that,
You got 2 hours worth of
yeah,
work
once
done
you
and you
think
took a
about
nap.
that timing, yeah, by the time breakfast, you sit at the coffee, you get your coffee, you chit chat, you sit in some meetings, answer a few emails, you might and you eat and you try not to go to sleep after lunch. You really
Right,
only work 4 hours. Like I
right,
don't expect anybody who works for me to work any more than that because the brain doesn't even handle that kind of
mm-mm,
work. You think you do, but it don't. That's a different
right,
conversation.
yeah.
So let's move on to our We Outside
Mm.
segment where we talk about pop culture that it has nothing to do with academia. It has
But
everything
it's
to do
all
with
very
academia.
academic. It's all very academic.
Yeah. Yeah. So last time we didn't get a chance to talk about no Diddy or yes Diddy.
Dumb Diddy. Okay.
Dumb Diddy. Did he do it? So
Yeah.
yeah, so we had to table this because we didn't have enough time. I
Hmm.
thought more was gonna come out, but if you haven't been reading our all of our 90s, 2000s, all of our MTV days are just being dismantled. We knew how bad it was. We just wanted to stay oblivious. But yes, Puff P. Diddy had his home raided by FBI, well, Homeland Security, wasn't he at FBI?
Hmm.
Um, I don't even think we were told, but at this point, it's just rumored to be about human trafficking and behind alleged, sexual assault allegations. It goes beyond that to human trafficking. My take is I think that it's people think is this Lil Rod, this producer, he used on his last album, the Love album. He didn't pay him, so he was seeking retribution. He got like 3 lawsuits.
Hmm.
Um,
And didn't he also claim
his
sexual
lawyer
harassment?
represented somebody. Oh,
Hmm.
his lawyer represented the girl, Nicki Minaj's husband, sexual assault accuser. Yeah, he got like big name people. The
Yeah.
lawyer represents big name cases. Um, but I really do think this is still Cassie. Nobody's talking about her, but whenever she did that, it was always
Right.
we settled the civil suit and we
Hmm.
will still seek justice. Like people missed that. They were looking at the numbers she supposedly got, but it was always rumblings that some
Right.
of that stuff went to federal authorities about her case. Like she had the proof. So I don't even think the stuff that Lil Rod is presenting has been debunked. The stuff about
Hmm.
sex workers, all of Diddy's girlfriends, notable girlfriends, been sex workers. All of that's been dismissed,
Hmm.
proven like this not right. But I'm like, they wouldn't have done that. I think it's all Cassie stuff, and I'll
Right.
believe Cassie over somebody
Yeah.
else.
And uh, the rumblings, the rumors have already been there. And, I just go back to January of 2024, which felt like an entire year, and the Cat Williams episode of Club Shay Shay. Like all liars and lies will be revealed in 2024. And listen, we not even through the first quarter yet. Like
I'm tired.
it's been so 2024 is taking us. I think there's several things here. I think, yes, I'm gonna support, believe, see the evidence as it unfolds, right? Um, because even it's pop culture, but even in what we do, we got to deal with stuff like this, and I got to look at it all. I got to make the assessment. I've got to think about it. But it could be before I say yay, nay, what I think, it could be just that he just nasty.
It could be.
It
It
could
could be.
it could be that, and it could be that he was disrespectful and he could have done it. I'm not going to vilify sex workers, um, particularly because you know what my dissertation topic was. So I'm not. Which, by the way, listeners, I study the work of Black urban lit and Iceberg Slim and Donald Goines. So I'm your resident pimpologist as well. Um, but
While I was saving behind some numbers, you watching black exploitation movies.
I'm watching. Listen, baby, can you buy that? Plus one, and you ain't no pimp. You're rest haven. So that kind of stuff, yes. So I'm not gonna vilify. I'm not gonna vilify if he had prostitutes at his parties. But I heard a quote. It was so great. Brandon T. Jackson was being interviewed, and he said the best advice he got was from uh, Denzel Washington. And he said, always leave the party 30 minutes before the devil gets there. Listen, if that's not the best like life advice, whatever party you in, whether it's work or a real, actual, literal party, always leave 30 minutes before the devil gets there.
Yeah.
And
And don't be
that's the
offended
whole.
when you're not invited to the after party. Some of the stuff you don't want to be invited to because
And
people
you don't
say,
have.
"Oh, I
Yeah,
party." Some people say, I went to a Diddy party." That's very different than say I partied with Diddy. It's
exactly.
very different.
And I do have an issue though with thinking about how they treated this as opposed to other celebrities who have found themselves in the same thing. And there's always this sort of complete and utter annihilation even before we've had trial, right? Whether they did it or not, rightly or wrongly. But there's always a difference in how law enforcement and the media treat Black entertainers that get caught up like this as opposed to somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's always an issue when I'm thinking about this as well. Um, so it's gonna be interesting to see what else comes up and who's gonna save themselves. Now in what 1 week we had Diddy, we had Nickelodeon. Um, I
Yeah.
saw it.
I still
I
haven't
saw
looked
the
at that
series.
documentary. You
I looked at the documentary,
tell me
but
about
I had no clue Well, I knew Dan, the one that was they were talking about had done the harassment and stuff, Dan Schneider, as an actor on Head of the Class, which was around in my era, right? And he was the overweight nerdy kid.
Yeah.
I had no, and I wasn't a
I
Nickelodeon
forgot
kid.
about that.
Yeah,
Totally forgot about that
yeah.
show.
Robin Givens got her start, back when
Yeah.
right before she married Mike Tyson, she was dating Brad Pitt. I think he had like a small cameo on the show. I loved Howard Hessman, rest in peace, from WKRP in Cincinnati. You can tell how old I am, right? Or at least how much television I watched. But it was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking just to see that children were going through that. And the young man who finally came out and told his story about his being molested by somebody who worked on the show, and to see his father just break down because he knew something was wrong and they manipulated the situation. It's absolutely heartbreaking, but it also tells you that you need to prepare your children, and you need to protect your children, rather. Protect your children. And is fame really worth it at the end of the day? We
Yeah.
have
And I don't even think it's fame. Like, we can go to Florida about 3 weeks ago about the woman who sexually assaulted an 11-year-old girl. It was a teacher, middle
Yeah.
school. And the little girl can't make any sense of it.
Right.
Go back to, I saw an article 2 weeks ago about I think it was 10 young ladies who sued the school because they knew their Title IX, their sexual assault reports were dismissed, and they won their case. So I feel it's a scary world out there,
Right.
but you have to protect them from any and everybody. It's not even gender specific anymore. It's anybody who you gotta teach them how to have discernment, especially when they go off to college. And it's not, it could be the peer, it could be, you know, guys who've never been away from home, and it's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Alcohol is involved.
Right.
But we have to do, even in higher education, we have to do a better job at preparing our students to know what's consensual, what are boundaries, how do you handle it, because they see so many things, but then when they actually commit these things, these atrocities, they don't know the consequences of it. So we can't just brush it off as like, oop, I checked the box, Title IX, all of that stuff is covered, oh, we just checked it. No, it needs to be, and it cannot be in freshman orientation either. It needs to be before, because most of these violations occur that welcome week when they ain't got no class, and it's their first steps out of the house. So it needs to
Right.
be well before that.
But and you're talking about it even on the college campus and reinforced, right? But when you're at an event and there's small children and they say, "Oh, give sister Erin a hug," and the child says no. My mother taught me, she would tell people, "Oh no, give Dr. Erin a hug." You never make a child feel as though they have to hug or be touched by anybody, inappropriately or
Yeah.
appropriately, because they learn that people in authority have more power than they do over their own bodies. So we have to stop that in our gathering places, in our social constructs like churches and schools. We
Yeah.
have to respect them at 3 and 4. As long as they are able to say no, you go ahead. Hey, that's their body and their right to say no if they don't want to give me a hug or allow
All they owe
me
you is
to.
a greeting,
That's
a
it.
pleasant
That they just
greeting, a
owe
fist
me
bump.
respect, but not that. They don't owe me their personal. They don't owe me that. And my mother was the same. I mean, man, listen. When I say every band trip, everything, and if something was wrong, whether she liked them or not, hey, everything okay over there? I mean, you have to be vigilant, and um, we have done so much in terms of adultifying our children
Yeah.
that they become adults that don't know the difference until they get that, and then it hits them, and then the trauma comes, and then you have this. Because let's say, even as adults that are being abused, it takes a minute to recognize that's what it is.
Yeah.
And we've gotten in such a culture that it's always blame the victim. Why were you at this party? Why were you drinking? What were you wearing? Which you can't even ask in court. You can't even say it in court. But of course, it becomes part of the whole thing.
Mhm.
Like you made this happen to you. But yeah,
Yeah, I feel like it's
it's
coming
painful.
to it. All of the I've said this before and keep messing up the saying. What is it? All the chickens are coming home to roost.
The chickens are coming home to roost, honey. Wah wah.
I,
And the
I messed
chickens
that
are.
up several times this week. The eggs come home to hatch.
Hey, listen, that very phrase got Malcolm put out of the nation. So I will never forget it. Now I'm not that old, but I remember it from the movie. Then. But when the chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah, no
So
matter what you do, it's always going like the consequences will follow, no matter how much money you have. And
mhm,
one of my favorite shows, TGIF, the conversation around, I think both Diddy and Nickelodeon was saying,
mhm,
even so, you got to dissect it. How they handle his sons and pointed guns. We got a whole element of police officers mistreatment, right? That you
right.
slide that over.
Mhm,
But people saying they ain't have to invade his house like that, blah blah blah. But at the same time, the consequences of your actions, like
right.
they did it the best they could.
Now
They
here's
said the federal
here's my
officers didn't even know what house they were going to until they got there. But
yeah.
we can't say it's unfair because Diddy got money.
Mhm,
No,
right.
the
But
way
I also think I'm tired of
suspect.
looking at it though.
I
I'm
am.
I'm tired of looking at it. Like why do we even have pictures of the raid?
That's the other piece. That's the other piece. But you like got to dissect it all to say what's fair, what's not. If he did
Mhm.
something, and they don't move like that unless they have a ton of evidence. Now I've
Yeah,
seen
because
places where
especially
they
on that particular, especially on somebody
yeah
that height in popularity. Yeah, yeah.
yeah they
We gonna
gotta
see
have enough. Um. So speaking of Diddy,
it.
he's one of his concubines. That's probably
Nothing
I
wrong.
feel comfortable saying concubines. Um, they've been named other things in several lawsuits, but one of his concubines, Carisha, Lil Miami,
Uh-huh.
um, the City Girls is fighting. I hate it. I hate it. Why do
What
we have to
is that?
communicate like this if we're so close? Like, I'm not gonna go at you, Dr. Jackson. You answer my phone calls, you ain't come. Like, I'm not gonna put that on Facebook. But
Mm-mm,
I've come
mm-mm,
to realize that the way our students and youth and even adults communicate with
mm-hmm.
each other mirrors that of what we see on TV and social media. Like, why
Right,
can't y'all call each other and have a sit down and nobody ever knows y'all fell out? But
right.
I was saying, oh man, they ain't have no scandal. Like I was saying they were good, like they true friends, sisters. They were fighting for like a good 48 hours. It might be 24. And it was a lot of instigating by people outside. They went
Mm-hmm.
on Twitter and IG and back and forth and back and forth. And then everybody's, of course, is like a relationship where you take sides and then the couple gets back together and they're happy, but you still in your feelings. They was like, oh yeah, we talk, we good. And it was
But
all
why
about
why
some
are
beef
we doing
over
like? But why are
Glorilla.
we
Like
doing this?
I just hate it. I saw it and I was like, nope, not reading it, not reading it, not getting it. I just got the gist of it. And then soon I saw, oh, we good, we made up. That's my sis.
But to do that on, I mean, is that to keep y'all relevant? Is that to keep
No, I
something
just
going
think
on?
that's the way you communicate. That's the way they think they should communicate when they get mad is go on social media and post everything. Like that's not how you communicate with somebody that you have this close association with, that you're in a group with, and more than a group, y'all been friends for so long. I'm so glad I didn't have social media when I was that young.
Listen, if they had those kind of receipts when I came up,
yeah,
you can't prove nothing. I did. You can't prove a thing. I did.
So the City Boys also were fighting.
Okay.
J. Cole, Future, Kendrick Lamar, and Drake.
Okay.
Future might not be in. I don't know. I'm over it. I'm over. We've had the greatest beef.
Let me get real close here. Really?
There's his own vinyl. Yeah.
What are they beefing about? Someone stole somebody's metaphor. What are we beefing about?
It all stemmed from one line. Let me take it back, and I probably get some of this wrong, and I'm getting it wrong probably intentionally because I didn't spend too much time and energy that much dissecting it. So on somebody's album, I think it was a Future album, Kendrick, there's a line about something, we the big three.
Mm-hmm.
The big three had to be Future, Drake, Kendrick. Or maybe it was those four. Just say four is in the picture. Somebody was featured on an album. It was a line that says, we the big three. You mean something. I think J. Cole came out to say, kind of F that big three, is just big me. And then the internet has said, which leads J. Cole. So it must be Kendrick and Jay. That beef still
so
there.
I've heard
and J. Cole wrote a whole diss album after, and then
they have the same fans. Like if you're a J. Cole fan, you're also a Kendrick Lamar fan. Like that,
you got to be.
That was like watching.
Now that Future and Drake, the Lumen. I can't say that word on here. Yeah, no. Kendrick, I hated to see them because I'm glad it was music beef, but I was like, dude, y'all better than this. Y'all get sucked up into the trash.
Right. I think, and the problem is that, you worry about it going too far, right? We're not talking about LL Cool J and Kumo D beef, again, showing my age, that was on the radio, and then you realize, they all really friends, and this is just to sell records. Yeah, they were internalizing that, but it's all the name of the game, what fits the song, and you all should know that better than anybody.
Yeah,
why is this personal? And I did see a recording of J. Cole saying he was gonna take down the diss track.
He did. No, it wasn't a diss track. It was the album.
It was a what?
It's an album.
He did a whole album.
That's the
whole album. You wasted all your energy and studio time on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's an album.
Okay, so this is just like
album
watching,
might delete later on Friday. Release the title track 7-minute drill. Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, it was a whole album.
Stop it. You got the one got a Pulitzer. Come on, man, Kendrick. None of this makes sense.
That sound like Boosie. Don't sound like Boosie. Oh, come on.
Come on, man. Listen. That is my new. Listen, Boosie said, "Come on, man. Come on. Let that go."
The moral of the story:
and
They
keep it
made
off
up,
social media
and
because
J.
we
Cole came
never
to
should know.
himself.
Huh?
Yeah, I say J. Cole came to himself. He took it down, everything down, apologized. He said that was out of my character. But that's why I respect him so much as
Yeah.
a person, as a lyricist. Plus, he's one of the people who actually went to college and graduated and still became a rapper successfully.
Yeah. I mean, but if you think about it as uh rappers, lyricists, trying understanding that, but being man enough to say it's out of my character, I'm gonna take this down. But the fact remains that y'all got so mad that you went and spent hours in the studio over that.
Yeah. Well, J. Cole, I mean, it might not take him
Come on.
hours. He might have
You
it
might
might have took him. Yeah.
okay. Why not take
Go
some hours? Okay.
freestyle. Yeah. Yeah. Some other story. We gotta communicate better, y'all.
Yeah.
We have to learn
And
how to
off social
communicate. The
media.
kids are watching. And I feel like this is, and I love the Housewives. I love the first couple of seasons of Love and Hip Hop, but I think once all of that took the culture by storm, people
Mm-hmm.
began to communicate in that way.
Right. And I
It
think
was
it,
all
it
just,
it unmasked the mystique of it all, right?
yeah.
Because if you're on IG, then regular people can comment and it fuels it even more. And there's never going to be another era of tell-alls because y'all done told it all.
No.
There's nothing for you to profit from when you get in your 60s and 70s and can't work anymore because you done told it all.
But this is why I love Tank's podcast, the R&B Money
Oh, I
podcast,
love
because
it.
he
Oh, I
brings
love
back,
it. I love it.
and that for that reason, because you can sit for hours and listen to people. We only had Word Up magazine.
Right on.
I mean, yeah, right on. We only had that, and that was probably like 3 months. You know how long it took them to find the picture, print it, put it in the store. You beg your mama to get it. The tea is about 5 or 6 months old by the time you got the magazines.
Girl, you couldn't tell us
Um,
nothing about Right On magazine, baby.
I still got a
And
couple.
it's
I
our
think I
post.
still got a picture with Tupac and Kadada on the back of a limo. That was hot tea back then.
Oh
Um,
my goodness.
I love to hear when they go through songs and you hear about how they made it, or little
Mm.
stories we've only, like, not even big rumors, like whispers, or we know people beef, and we still finding out that that Luther Vandross and who was it? Anita Baker.
Oh,
They toured together and they couldn't leave off the same side. I love finding that out.
well, see
We need
now,
to know that.
babe. Listen, if you were in the tea, now that I knew because he told Anita, you can't wear sequins. So when because his girls wore sequins, baby, so she couldn't wear sequins on the show. So when it all came back around, when it was her turn, and you put favorite face off your tour.
I was so hurt. I really
I
want
was
to go see
like,
the both of
you
them.
you just is this your get back? Like, is this what are you doing?
Like,
You've been here. You've done this before.
Sarah TT, Sarah Auntie, you gotta behave. Gotta behave, Sarah TT. I
Yeah,
just,
the baby, but that wasn't you. Just glad he was doing that out of respect.
and I
Motherfucker can do
even
his
hate
own tour.
that beef hit social media like that. Like,
Yeah,
come on now, man.
come on, come on, man, come on. I mean, so yeah, we want to have that, and I love that podcast by the way because Marsha Ambrose gave one of the best interviews I've seen in a long time. Oh my God. She was
That was
so
the
hilarious. It was chef's kiss. It really was. Wow. It
Stevie. Do you really know that there's a ribbon in the sky?
do you? Do
Really?
you?
Do you? Is
But
there?
do you?
You see us
And
in the park?
they were
But
so caught off guard.
because Tank thinks Stevie could see, and every person who knew Stevie, he asked that question, but he was caught off guard even by that because he
Yeah.
thought he was the only one.
Right. Oh my
Um,
goodness.
Well, let's wrap up the We Outside by
Okay.
saying rest in peace to OJ, the Juice Man, um, great athlete, um, culture icon for better or worse. I'm not even gonna bring up the fact of his past because headlines have done that and always done that. And the moral of that story is no matter what you do in life or death, people gonna paint you as your worst, as at your worst. So we're just gonna say rest in peace to him and prayers to his family and
Yes, yes.
fans. And now that's one book we hope he penned before he closed his eyes.
Yeah.
I would love to
You
read
know,
it.
it's a everyone remembers where they were
Mm-hmm.
when all of the things happened there. It was also, but his family should be given time to grieve and mourn without having to relive it all. So
They
hopefully,
won't.
hopefully
They won't.
they'll get that time.
Hopefully they've already, he passed away from cancer. So hopefully they've already written his, the story that gets in the New York Post and they can paint the picture. He approved how they painted the picture before
Hmm.
he passed away. I hope, but yeah, still sad.
Yeah.
I feel like he was on social media a few weeks ago saying something that he should not have had. Like,
Probably,
no,
probably.
go inside. Just go inside. Um, so yeah, rest in peace to OJ. So let's flip. Let's do a couple news stories.
Okay.
You have the first topic of transitions.
Well, I
Who's
was,
in, who's out,
doing
who's
my
looking?
usual, scroll. I think did we mention last time that Tennessee State has a new board? Um,
We did talk about Tennessee State has a new board, and now they have a new president.
president, right? They got a new
Prayer
president.
sorrows to you, sir.
Fred Sorrow's condolences and congratulations. All the things for you, sir. So also I've noticed a couple of this is the we're launching a search for the next executive administrative kind of place. Hampton is looking for a new provost. So they've recently um, named have a new president. I think he's been there about a year, maybe two. I think it's a year. Which I know is a difficult place to be in after the previous president had been there like 40 years. So, um, and handpicked, but that's always very difficult. I think
Yeah.
University of DC is looking for a new provost. Um, so we've got this is the time where people are making these transitions. So let's go back to Tennessee State for a minute. You got a new president and a whole new board. Where's your continuity of information, of care, of what's happening there? you know, like how are they supposed to? So is everything fresh? You have no institutional memory. I'm getting my
Well, they're
charger
all
because
alum. They're
what the
all
what now?
alum. So they're all alum.
Yeah, but all alums didn't go to
No, I mean
go ahead.
you have alum colored glasses. It's a rose colored glass. You have an
Listen,
alum colored glass. I refuse to take mine
alum
off for my institution.
alum colored glasses are kind of the worst. Hold on, I'm charging up because we've talked a long time. So, um, this is allegedly higher. So, this is what we do.
We getting this podcast done by any means necessary. It ain't perfect, but we here.
Yeah, right, baby. We here. We here. So, I'm turning back around. All right, there we go. So, my question is, what do you do with that? How do you get people? And this is one reason that staff and faculty who are there don't want to listen to executive administration
Yeah.
because of the transient nature of it all, right? So let's see who else. That's the biggest thing right now.
Yeah.
And they've had those 11 audits that have found nothing improper, right? So you have all of the searches coming up. I was looking, even now, even executive, mid-level executive, assistant vice presidents, and associate vice presidents at HBCUs. This is the time, associate provost for academic affairs. If people are looking for jobs, this is the time to do it. But also know there's the interims in place.
These are probably sham searches, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, if don't put your eggs, do not quit your job where you are. Make it work.
Unless you know the president and the provost or a board member.
Unless
Yeah,
your application is
your
already
application is probably going in the trash. It probably even make it from the computer to paper to the trash. It just never just is a purgatory. Look smiling.
what?
We're gonna get healed from sham searches one day with that. today.
It's my dream to own my own search firm. You know that's one of my business model dreams. But it's a search firm. It's a search firm that's not a search firm. It is one of these days I'm going to open up a sham search firm. I already know the tagline. When you already know who you want,
call us.
Because we're going to get you qualified candidates that'll make it look like you really did a search.
And those candidates are going to come stated for their time to come interview. It ain't going to be a waste.
Right.
Just like seat fillers. Seat fillers get paid.
Seat fillers. That's what that's it.
Pool fillers. Candidate pool fillers. They're going to be diverse, qualified, and when you announce your candidate, you ain't going to be lying.
Right.
From a pool of qualified candidates we have selected.
I love it.
You ain't even got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie. We'll help you.
I mean, but it happens this way. So all of the transitions that are coming ahead, watch out for springtime where students are getting very, very antsy and restless and they want to make their final stamps on the world. So watch out for those change.org petitions, and Facebook and all of the things and the T's and but again, even with all of the new transitions that are being announced daily from search firms and all of that, and I don't want to go into my rant, but yeah, be mindful. There's always a good interim in place.
Yeah, we'll put that down as a segment of lessons we've learned in the process. But even giving to the new upcoming people who really want to be in leadership, really want to make the impact, you really at some point got to play the game to get into the seat. Right. And it's unfortunate you just can't, oh yeah, there's a job. Let me get my CV together and everything. And I'm qualified. I will get an interview. No. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about experience, then we'll bring on people who are at search firms to talk about that side of it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's really about networking. Meet
some really good people at search firms, and sometimes the institutions and the boards do what they want, even with the search firm in place.
Again, you wasting your money. Come to us. You wasting your money on a real search firm. You just not even gonna pick who they suggest for you.
When you know who you want, call us. We can get you qualified.
In case you didn't know, we are extremely ironic but extremely serious about this.
Look at me, y'all. Come closer. Come closer. Come close. Come close. Call us. We got you. We got you. You already know who you want. Stop doing it. Stop paying search firms $50,000 to $75,000, making your faculty and staff angry because you can't even feed them dinner. But you got money for that. Trust me. We can do it for a whole lot less. We get you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This segment was brought to you by Sham Search.
The sham search firm. You already know who you want.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord. Well, let's move on to policy and this disastrous FAFSA.
Oh my God.
Financial aid delay. I can't even imagine being in enrollment management right now, or financial aid, or even a parent or a student. This is a mess. So yes. If you're
Well,
listening, you probably
I
already
have a
know.
student going through it. I have a student, my grandson is graduating from high school, God willing, and creek don't rise. He's graduating from high school. And so you're waiting on the FAFSA. And here's the thing. I have been, as the higher education, professional, saying, it opens October 1, you need to do it, blah, blah, blah. And then we get pushed back and pushed back. It makes my whole industry look shady. Because I was going to add an as, but I don't think I should. But we can't get it together. So we're supposed to be teaching them how to get it together. Right. So what is the holdup on the same paperwork that y'all been doing for years? So here again, when an administrator comes in, because we can bring it all back to the way we do things, right? And you want to make changes for what? Are they substantive?
Well, I do agree it needs to make change, because there was so much redundancy of me telling you I ain't got no money. I ain't got no money. My mom ain't got no money. No, they're not hiding assets. I don't even know what assets are, because I don't have no money. I don't have no money. My mama dead. I don't know what my dad is. I don't have no money. I don't have no money. I don't have no money.
Right.
Yes, I get food stamps. yes, I pay for my I don't pay for lunch at my school. I don't have no money. I don't have no money. It needed to change, right? Because
Right.
I filled it out for several types of students and I got aggravated. My cousin, her grandma's taking care of her. Her grandma passed away. Like, it was just so many things that I'm like, my God, how many times you got to be reminded that you don't have no money? Your mama ain't here. Your daddy won't sign. Like, it's crazy. So this article from the National College Attainment Network, who is a great organization and really does a great job at lobbying, definitely for double pay, but also financial aid streamline. It really, in a perfect world, if you are on any of the social the social benefits, social net benefits, I'm trying to say it, I don't want to call it welfare, but if you're on any other resource, SNAP, Medicaid, free, like, you shouldn't have to refill out the same stuff. It should be one big pot. But that's a perfect world. I'm not president nor secretary of Department of Education, but if I was, that would be it. They tried to streamline. It needed to be. I thought I was going to report on one thing. I'll read a little bit from this article. There will be, so the class of 2024, the percent of applications submitted is down 30.7%, which results in between 300 to 500 fewer applications than their 2023 peers. An article today that says it's been so many glitches that they have to reprocess them, and the schools won't get the reports until May 1. And this causes all kinds of issues for the enrollment management process. The piece, I was going to read that, but then I'm digging in to learning that, guess who they got to overhaul and give a 9-figure contract to overhaul the FAFSA.
Who?
I'm not going to I'm not going to I'm going to read it so I could make sure I get this right. General Dynamics. They are trading at $287 on the New York Stock Exchange, combining leading edge electronic hardware. Let me go back to who they are. General Dynamics is a global aerospace and defense company. I'm reading straight from the website. From Gulfstream business jets to combat vehicles, nuclear powered submarines, and communication systems, people around the world depend on our products and services for their safety and security.
Just let it breathe. Just let it breathe.
I found this out this morning as I was trying to get the latest up to date information. I was like,
Listen, you know how I am about this
this is
number,
a military like the article said military contract. And I was like, y'all lying. They do more than this. Nope, not figures.
You know,
and they have business models. I do it. So aerospace, marine, comeback, and technologies. I click technologies because they may be doing, some other systems. Our technologies are full spectrum services, technologies to expanding market that increasingly seeks solutions, leading electronic hardware and specialized software. So a wide range of military intelligence and federal civilian customers. I guess we are the civilian customers. Mission support services, mobile communications, computers, command, control, cyber, C5 mission systems, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance solutions. Now, benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Benefit of the doubt. They paid you somewhere along this design process.
mm-hmm.
You had to incorporate, maybe you incorporated stakeholders, every stakeholder, to make sure the system was built. I don't know how federal government contracting works, but this don't make no sense.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense. And this is what happens and why people don't believe in higher ed anymore. Because when we make decisions like that, on top of the fact that we don't have wholesale student loan forgiveness that people were talking about, or that even that process has been so convoluted. On top of the fact that most people are questioning whether or not a college degree is a good idea anymore.
Yeah.
Because even in my own family, who's been served very well by my higher ed degree, right? My 3 degrees. To be told that college is just a flex. That's y'all, the lingo, right? It's just a flex. It's just a flex. What do they need? And what do they need it for? And then you have this. So that kid that was on the fence anyway and was only going for big mama and dad, the military racking up
9 figures. I don't even know how to look on. I'm getting better at money things and wrapping my head around things is over 6 and 7 figures. 9 figures. 9 figures. 9. And I know there's better people at higher ed. So like I could probably rattle off a couple of higher ed softwares that they could have contract people who already know what a student facing software or a parent, like a user facing interface and combining data. Any higher ed tech company, I would even uh-oh. So that was our spotlight on policy. So we hope that we'll be looking to see how this really plays a part. I know, Dr. Jackson, you were saying we're at a little technology glitch. You were
Yeah.
saying how a lot of students are on the cusp of this glitch may prevent some students who were on the cuff of saying I'm going
Right.
to school probably won't. And then
Mhm.
on top of last episode talking about politics, there are some political things that went on in our state, Louisiana, where every student in Louisiana was required to fill it out, whether you're going to school or not, to just give them an option. It's done. If you want to go, it's done. They didn't roll that back. And we were one of the top states with the most applicants to go. But again, we 49, 50, I don't know, between Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas,
Right.
Alabama, we always play with that 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. I think we like 49th in
But
higher entertainment.
yeah, so my grandson is, going to college, but he's definitely not on the cusp if he wants anything out of my purse. But those kids, when you're talking about student loans, is college worth it? All of that is swirling at the same time when they feel at 17 or 18 years old that college, they don't want to go to any more school. So it wasn't an option for me, right? There was never an option for anything else. And I remember even being in high school and they said, well, some of you all are going to college and some of you going to the military, some of you going to the workforce. And here I am, I'm 18 years old, sitting in my high school auditorium, and I'm thinking, workforce? Y'all don't know how to do anything. We're not trying to do what are they gonna do? I'm saying it was an old soul, I guess. Shout out to Callaway High School. And it irritated me that you made that an option. 17 or 18 years old, you're not trying to go to anybody's workforce, right? Don't even let that come out your mouth. But those kids that are on the cusp, and as long as this waits and it waits, what's going to happen is going to be a madhouse. Even for those who are going to be late on their taxes, because you have to have your taxes, even though you all have this information.
Yeah. And even the taxes are, I think, 2 years. You can, yeah. I think it's 2022. They do, and it don't work for everybody. It don't. I've tried to link it. It don't work for everybody. But that's the miscalculation is in the how much money they actually owe.
You shouldn't have to link it. The Department of Education, who has my number and name from 12 years of compulsory public school education or any kind of education, even in private schools, they have the documents, they have the information per school. A parent or guardian should not have to link it and say, click this. You got my IRS information. You got my credit report. You got everything. Just send me a letter and tell me how much I get. You don't even have to have a form. You could just take every high school senior. All they have to do is say, do you want the Department of Education to assess your financial aid? Fine. Between the IRS, your mom and dad's credit report, because again, it's all in your record. Just do that. We make things so difficult in talking about changing policy and application. You know who owns student loans. Why am I applying for that?
Yeah.
You have my number.
But it's also, I think that application, and I'm doing this because I have worked with several students who are in family households that doesn't look like a traditional mom and dad, right? Mm-hmm. You got stepfather raised me, I'm on somebody's taxes, this and that. And so the frustration, especially of the students who probably do need to go, their family situations don't mirror a perfect household where they're so clean and cut, they can't figure it out. Even if it's not, if you get divorced, if your mom and dad somehow get divorced, it's about who carries you and this and that. Like, it's so convoluted to where, because how the actual application is set up is not even it's not even set up for students who are families who don't look like a traditional family. And I think that's the frustration
Right.
too, as well. But I agree. It needs to be changes, especially who's doing this. And
I think you can have
yeah.
applications for special populations, foster kids, for example. But
Mm-hmm.
again, if you coordinate and see, it's the silo. I'm gonna make up a word, I guess. The siloness of the bureaucracy
Yeah.
that creates the havoc,
Yeah. You know I'm in foster care.
right? Because you got the paperwork, right?
You know
So
my parents died. I'm getting it's Social Security.
right, so you got all the paperwork, and if someone turns 18, now if you wanted, I wouldn't have to apply for the draft. You
No,
can find me
because you
then.
already know I'm 18. Yeah.
Passport office can find people. So when you're making it difficult, you are creating a permanent underclass.
Yeah.
And so it is all
And
organic into what we do. And one thing I would try to tell people all the time, you're not just educating that kid that comes before you,
you're
especially
educating
with
the
first
whole family.
You're
Yeah. Whole
educating a whole
family.
family. You're changing an entire generation of education and income opportunities. You're changing the trajectory of a family. And you mean to tell me all the education that sits in a room can't figure out to call and have that information all imported into one database? You have the information. You're making it difficult.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That felt like I just ranted, but that's not my rant.
Oh, it's a mini rant. Well, let's move on to our main segment. We'll pick up on news next episode as we monitor the comings and goings in higher ed and bring up to date, fresh information. But we want to continue our main discussion on board governance. As we have grown up in higher education, for me, way too fast. I didn't want to grow up that fast. I didn't want to know that. I stay out of grown folks' business. I was raised like that, but somehow
Right.
I kept getting brought in. Last episode, we covered the politics of state boards and how Tennessee State got a new board because of the governor and state politics rooted in white supremacy and racism and greed and all that good stuff, right? But we want to take this a step down. So we know several boards has gotten reseated before. That's nothing new. Sometimes before this was for the good. The whole board needed to just go away. Go away, in the words of our old coworker. Go away.
Go away. Go away.
But two questions that we want to entertain today. What should happen when a new board is seated? So we're going to take, if they would ask us to either be a president, so just think about Tennessee State is a new president with a brand new board. The board's new, they may not have sit on the board. There's a couple of people, I think on their board, one's a provost, so they may have had some board interactions. So first question, what should happen if you were president or you get named as chair of the board, you're a brand new board? You can choose. I'll let you choose. Choose your own adventure. What would you rather be? The board chair of a new board or the president with a new board?
I'll tell you, I'm gonna choose both because I can do that. If I were the president with a new board chair, and under the whether it is under controversy or not, you have to develop a relationship with the board chair, and that is both on a very much a professional level, but also personable, because that is still your supervisor. But you also need to make sure that you have the same vision for the institution. Because the board chair may have their priorities and you have your priorities, and somewhere you got to negotiate that upfront which priorities, how, give and take that you'll be able to do. Because if there is dissension between the president and the board chair, all hell will break loose. So you got to negotiate that very quickly. And if I were a new president at this time, I would be trying to negotiate that very quickly. Also, at the same time, let's all be very honest about where we are, particularly somewhere like Tennessee State, what they're going through. If I were there, right? You got to really be honest and say, listen, we know what the controversy is, because if the two of them do not stand together and acknowledge it and allow people how they feel about it, because the alums of Tennessee State are staunch and they're going to stand up for Tennessee State, and as they should. They got to acknowledge it, the controversy, and then listen to the people.
Yeah.
Because that belongs to them. So that's a public institution. And that's what I would do, even as a board chair coming in. And that board chair is going to have a long, as my mom used to say, a long road to hoe. Because right now you are, you hadn't heard that one, Dr. Erin, a long road to hoe. That's a long road to hoe.
That from a country girl, I have from Louisiana. That was got to be Mississippi.
You can use it anytime. That's free. Yeah. A long road to hoe.
I understand it because I have hold before. I have hold in a hot summer. I have hold, so I understand the analogy.
So I think that's going to be a lot of gaining the trust and be willing to do that. I think someone say, okay, well, I'm here now. This is the way it's going to be. This is a new day, and blah, blah, blah. But you have not gained the trust of the people. And so until they respect and trust that you really care about this institution, alma mater or not, since all of them are set. But that's what I would do at any point, whether I'm at a public institution or private institution. They have to trust that you are for the institution and not for yourself. And so the one thing I would, and as a president, that's you gotta develop that relationship and be very clear and outline your vision, because that's your boss. And hopefully that vision that they've hired you as a president because they believe in your vision for where the institution could go. But we know how interviews go. Folks just lie. But it's 2024. So if at a private institution, it's a little bit differently because there is no state interference. Private institutions name their own boards.
Well, that's the different. I think even in that, I feel like there has to be some kind of change in how boards are educated and trained to make informed decisions. So even let's take it from that aspect. Even so, regardless, you might have a new person come on board. You might have a new board chair. It may just be a new year. Let's recalibrate. Since this is choose your own adventure, I'm going to take the executive coach route. Advisor, consultant, and my mind is going to, that sounds good. How do we make this happen in real life? Right. If I was advising the president or the board chair, there has to be, you gotta tell people I'm envisioning like a crime scene or something happened. Back up behind the yellow tape, back up, give us some room, let us breathe, back up. We're not saying nothing to nobody. Give us some time. Give us 30 days. And between the president and the board chair needs to have some real frank conversations, quality, not like we rushing in and out of lunch. And I might say a couple yang over lunch. It has to be some quality one-on-one time, maybe facilitated conversation between the president and the board chair. Get everything out in the open. That's where you gain the rapport. because at some point the board chair is going to have to champion the president's plan or idea, right? And so I don't think there could be more conversations. I just feel like they're not deep, structured, or facilitated. Um, but there has to be a regular, like it has to be just the president and a board chair retreat before they go back to the board, and so they need to set the agenda about what do we need the board to know, what are some things that we need to look out for. They need to be developing a SWOT analysis between the two, for everybody. Like what are going to be our threats, internal, external? What are going to be what are our strengths? What are our opportunities? Like they need to work on a SWOT between them and a plan. And then they walk into a board retreat where everybody attends. It can't just be this weekend fly-in thing. It needs to be quality time where people are paying attention. They're not just, oh, I'm late from this meeting and where we are, like, because that's what happens.
Right.
Boards usually get the busiest people. They breeze through the documents. They talk about it. They don't read. They don't bring in. Yeah, there's no education. There's no level setting, recalibration, benchmarking. This is where we are. This is where we are.
This is where we are. Yeah.
That's my first line when I gotta get rid of somebody. But this is where we are. So when a new board is seated, either or, is there a new change in leadership? There needs to be very structured, intentional meeting and facilitated discussions. So the vision, like you said, the vision can be cast in detail. Everybody knows the strengths, the opportunities, the weaknesses coming in. But I don't think there's that much intentionality. Yes, they do board retreats, but it's so frivolous though. It's so like
you feed them and you show them, and there's not a deep dive. It's if it looks good and it sounds good, then there's not a deep dive because nobody read the document. Just a second. I'm recording. You okay?
Then I paused. Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Jackson is recording.
We're having so much fun today, y'all. I promise you.
Yeah. I don't even know how to edit this. Y'all gonna get all of it. So yeah, it's so frivolous. They might bring in a facilitator to take notes on a pretty white chart. Who knows where those notes go and how they get disseminated and used. That's the things that I hate because we do all this showy stuff. The consultant, which y'all can still hire me. I mean, I'm willing to take the money.
Right.
But how does it actually get applied and actually used? Okay. And that's how I govern myself in any role. I hate the showy stuff. The work is after the meetings, day to day, what people think, what people hear, what people say, and it's not the showy meetings, right? So I think that it has to be that granular, that intentional, especially a new board. Like you just didn't get on this board to be pretty. You got to cut away some time. We need your time, attention, and it's your unpaid talent and expertise.
And this is unpaid work. So you need to be really clear about your responsibility. And when you accept a board position, you need to be very clear that this is volunteer, this is service, this is mission. And if you don't come to a board, right, if you're not coming with a mission, service-driven heart for this work, because it is difficult work. Yeah, going to the football games free is fun because we want to treat the board and make sure that everybody's happy on the board. That's not what this is about. We're talking about lives and making sure there's an educational experience, right? And that's, I think, what I would love to tell a board for real. this is mission driven work. This is ministry in a lot of ways. We are doing, and that's the same thing with executive leadership and presidents. It's mission driven. Yes, people will fawn because of the office. It's not you, but they will fawn over the office. And then they will not answer your phone calls when you have been removed. They're not. They're not going to answer your call. They're not going to, and they fall into, Mr. President, Madam President, and it gets, just so much pomp and circumstance. And at the end of the day, we still have students to serve.
Yeah.
And if you're so caught up in your title and your office and the big office and the glass windows and all of that, and you don't support the people who are boots on the ground, what was the point of you? From both perspectives, if they do not understand the mission of this work, stay home.
Yeah.
So
with that,
sorry, just stay home.
No, that's the perfect segue into the next question. So the question is that we're still continuing on into our Choose Your Own Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
We are in board training. So whether that's a big board training or multiple, what are the core competencies boards should have so they can make informed decisions? I feel so heavily on this one that boards don't really know what it takes for student success, and they're all over the place. They know different things, but even if we have any young leaders there, it is your job to set the metrics and make them know what they need to know. So even in me giving my board report, I said, I can't tell you. It's like, it is. When was the boards? It must have been. Is it an August board meeting? Sometimes they fall, but when we doing the report, they want to know how the students doing. This is higher ed. It takes a long time to get data. These are real people going through real time. I can't give you how many students about to graduate, and it's just like they wanted numbers that I couldn't give them. So I laid up my mouse on. This is how we get to retention and graduation rate. This is where we're going to start by reducing DFW rates. If we can reduce DFW rates, we can reduce the number of people on staff appeal and academic probation so I don't have to leave.
Right.
If we can reduce the number of if we can increase the GPA, this time we have a great chance. If we can increase this and that. And so I had to say, okay, this is what you need to know. This is why we are doing what we're doing. And this is when I report to you those numbers. And this is how we're making our guess if we're on the right track right now.
Right.
So what are the core competencies that boards should have to make informed decisions about budget, strategy, culture, hiring, like all of those pieces? What are some of the top things that should be, if we were making like a training agenda, what would be on that training agenda?
Listening.
You're a real English teacher.
Listening. We're going to put on our listening ears, and then we're going to put on our thinking caps. And so, first, and I'm right. You're right. It definitely teaching, right? So they need to go through some listening and communication skill sets. They also need to figure out why they are there. I think that I'm going competencies as well, but there's some soft skills and some hard skills that they need to know. So on the soft skills, I need to know, why are you here, Ike? And why are you here? Are you mission driven? Are you listening? Do you understand how to read a chart? I need you to understand how to process the data. And and trust the professionals who are here every day doing the work. Those are the kinds of that trust, the listening, communication. Also, they need to have some time management and understanding skills. We can't do it you can't hire somebody on September 1 and by October you expect them to have gotten a full assessment of everything and everybody on the campus. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And we've been there, right?
Yeah.
You can't hire a president who says, yes, enrollment management is everybody's top of line, right? Everybody is for enrollment management. We're all fighting for the same people, same age group demographic. We're all fighting. But you can't hire them for July 1 and by October expect them to have increased enrollment for that fall, by 200%. It's not going to happen right away.
Yeah.
I think so. It's listening, it's understanding, it's being, humane to be on a board and to work with your employee. You can't just come, and if you're sitting on a board of a Fortune 500 company and you're sitting on an educational board, a higher ed board, then where are you bringing my internships for my business students?
Yeah.
Where are your colleagues to do professional development for this institution? So if the budget is an issue, then I expect some colleagues of yours to trust you and respect you enough that this is something that they can also get behind. Because boards also have to use their resources. You're not just there to make important decisions.
And I think that listening piece is super important. I was thinking about that. They have to learn how to. I think some people on boards, they love to hear themselves talk, and so they can't wait to say their opinion. But you don't even digest what the reports or the information that you have before you even say something.
Right.
And very rarely have I seen them ask, okay, the finance person on here, give us your take. And if you give my take, I'm gonna give my take and we're gonna meet in the middle. Well, because my perspective may be coming a totally different way than yours. And so I think even while everybody doesn't need to be in the room, there needs to be a way to give voice from the people who are doing the work up so they can make informed decisions. Because I think, and this dovetails with my other reporting, ask me what I need to report and then tell me what you need to hear. And let's make the reports together, because it's some things that I want to say. They're looking for totally different things. And then they'll say, well, I didn't know. Well, I did tell you what we were doing in student support. I did, but you close the book and say, well, I heard people feeling. Well, if you let me get through the report, you would see that that's a lie, Maury. The test show that's a lie.
That's a lie. That is a lie. I think that when we talk about
that reporting is super important.
Yeah, it is, in terms of you don't know what you're hearing unless the numbers are stellar, right? But if you can take somebody from a 12% graduation rate to 26 in 2 years and 4 days, that's significant.
But that never makes the report.
But
that never makes the report.
And the work that it takes to get there doesn't make, because you don't know what you're actually listening for. So I'm in leadership, whether you're on a board or at in secondary, they say building level, or you're at district level, right? Everybody's got to respect the expertise of the person that's sitting next to them. If not, then we use your line, and this is where we are, and then we release them to their destiny. But at the end of the day, I have to trust that you know the numbers. Or you say to me, Dr. Jackson, we want to have a lock-in with the students, and we want to show them, this is a real thing, right? And we want, we're going to do all these things, but it was fun for the kids, and it also had activities. Y'all, she was so good. Oh my God, she was so good. And so all these activities about how to get them in a different mind shift. These were great things.
But it was also a persistence activity, because we have all this razzle dazzle and woo-ha in the fall, and the students just come back and resume it like no fanfare. Like there's no
just nothing for them.
There's no
DNA. Private joke.
There's no Ponderosa. If we taking the words of Jackie Christie, that don't even mean that. We don't even have like a gathering in the spring so they can come together and we can remind them of all the things we told them in the fall, and to give and to set their minds, get their minds right for the spring. It was an intentional persistence initiative. Right. And I still look at pictures from that day, but we can't retain if they don't come back in the spring. We put all the money in the fall.
Right. If they don't have it, and to understand it. So remember, and even in trying to increase the intellectual profile and the climate, right, bringing in speakers, and I have people go, well, what are you doing that for?
Because but see, that was the board not playing on the dance floor, because they need to know that. That was some of the things that you didn't need to know that could have came out in a different report.
Right.
Under it could have came out of multiple different, but that wasn't even none of their business. They get invited and they come.
Right. But it goes back to the phrase I hate, the street committee. I have a new one for you. I'm sick of them, and I'm sick of they, and I'm sick of those, because all of that hinders your leadership when you're allowing yourself to be jaded and to be inundated with what they are saying, and with those people are saying, and with what the thems are saying. Right? We really have to think about that as one of the skill sets that boards in their training. Yes, people will come up to you, especially if they know you, if you're an alum of that institution, and they come up to you and tell you things. But you also have to learn how to separate and have some distance between your role as a board chair or board member. You hear them, you acknowledge them, you look into it, but in such a way that doesn't step over the boundary of what you're supposed to be doing as a board member. It literally is, Mr. President, Madam President, listen, there's some rumbling on the street. I want to let you know, but that's on your court. If there's anything I can do to help you with that situation, let me know. That's what you're supposed to do.
But my scientific mind, but there's a way to do that. And there's a gripe that I have, that a lot of the up top decisions don't have all stakeholders involved in some sort. Their voices aren't done. Again, allegedly higher. For me to get my PhD, maybe not. I had to have quantitative data. But there is a way to get voices in the room. If I hear something, who's the voices? Who are they? Are they representative of the whole institution? My scientific mind is like, okay, is it a fluke? Is it one hater? Or in the case of our Lincoln University, I bet if they did a real focus group with a very great sample size of people, they would hear, yes, it's true. It was bullying and harassment, and this is a toxic culture, right? that's one piece. You need the voices of the stakeholders, not one voice who knew the board, somebody on the board who says, I heard. Now, if you
Right.
do that, say, hey, this is what we hear. Can we set up a town hall or listen? Well, town halls can be different in different places, but can we set up listening or a focus group, a real focus group? Get the psychology department to head it up and do a real focus group, or bring in a consultant to do a real focus group, real questions, and make sure the samples are representative of the school, and bring a report to us. That's very different than the street committee.
Right.
That's needed, but that's what a board should do
Anonymous
in
of people.
order
Yeah.
to get the culture of the institution, and we've seen board reports being very formal and block out everything that's going the fires on campus, right? That's not what we're talking about. It should be a mixture of
Right.
how do you get information about what's really going on in a very formal and non-biased manner that's good enough to make informed decisions on. We don't see that enough.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
very it's not everybody's voices are at the table, and we get in situations where decisions are being made at the top, and that distrust it ruins it. And so that's, I think the board needs to, again, listening. Let's recap: listening,
Mm-hmm.
reading,
Reading
learning,
the board report.
reading the board reports, learning about things that are outside of your purview. So whether that's from the experts on the board or experts in the university. I also think they need to know how change really works and what leaders look like. Um,
This is
Again,
true.
to your point about the October, hire me in September, October, I need this. No, because the boards who force people to do that, you have mass firings and say, okay, oh, well, the board said we need to get rid of X, Y, and Z, and I need to do it before September. No, grow a backbone. I'm not going to do that. I need, and I'm saying I did this. No, you're not about to get a whole strategic plan, and you're not going to get me to let everybody go. I was told different people to let go day one. No, I'm not going to do that. Let me see. Some of it, 50% of it was true, right? But
Right.
at least I gave them a chance
Mm-hmm.
to assimilate before I let them go. But
And,
if the board has that idea of leadership, it's going to come. The fish rots from the head down.
mm-hmm.
Did I get that one right?
I think so. Because riding fish just comes out right anyway. But I think that when they get into that kind of in the weeds at building level, making those kinds of decisions and mandates, that forces then their employee to make those kinds of decisions and mandates when you are not there, that yes, they need to grow a backbone, and that's at the integrity. I'm not going to risk my integrity. Like I'll try to find out what somebody, they may not be doing well in this position, but maybe they've done it so long that they just don't care about it anymore. But there's something else that sparked their interest that they need to do, or that they're better suited for, but nobody considered them for. Like you have to have, because we're dealing with people and humanity, right? And we say we're teaching our students to be ethical. Um, and global learners, and then we do things that are so unethical, and students are watching, your children are watching. So you have to be very clear that even when you have to release somebody from their destiny to their destiny, right? Release them. That was my phrase, and this is where we are. I have done my due diligence that I can sleep at night as a human being. And a lot of people use
Because
it
they
as
don't
a point
see
of
you.
power.
They don't see
Right.
the board. They see you.
They see me. They've got to deal with me. And I want to, even when you say this is not working out, that they know I've done everything that I can possibly do. And so from those positions of power, like the board, or even presidents, they're not the ones who have to look that person in the face and sit down with HR. That takes a toll. You know, I'll take it because they're not the ones that have to do the firing. They sit on high and they do all of that, right? And that takes something away from your executive leadership team, your mid-executive leadership team when they have to do that. And to save themselves, it's painful. Again, the boundaries have to be set in a way to do that. If someone has been a problem traditionally, then you still have to see, because I still need to know that this is not personal.
Yeah.
I don't have to like you personally to work with you professionally, and I'm not going to hurt you personally because I don't like you.
Yeah.
And we have plenty of opportunity to do that.
Yeah. I also think they need to know about the toxicity in higher ed and the workload, because they'll have one set of priorities, but they have no idea the other real work that you got to do every day, and how things work with real people and real students in real time. Yes, I'm trying my best to do whatever the mandate is from the board, from the president to from the cabinet, but also this is life and it's unpredictable, and we're dealing with students. So it could be a student crisis that can knock you off kilter. It could be a storm and a closing and this fire and that fire, and I can't do this brand new initiative because y'all want me to and do my job and have these, which I hate so much, KPIs done. I'm just gonna lie to save my job, really, instead of telling you, hey, can we, like, this is unrealistic for us to do. So you're putting, it can be done, but give us some time to get there. Give us a stretch goal, give us a real goal, give us a realistic goal. They need to know that's how things work. But also leaders have to be able to, and this is my issue, and I hate talking more than once. I'm gonna say it. You tell me something, I remember it, right? And so I do expect other people to do that they know the people, they not me. But they also, leaders have to know how to communicate that with their people, and everybody needs to communicate that to their superiors clearly and give them some information to be able to stand confident and say, you know what, student affairs can't adhere to this timeline. This is what we can do. This is how we're going to get there. We're going to try, but at this point, my shop is overworked, underpaid, understaffed. Until we're able to address that, this is what you get.
And here's what you get. That when you have to make those kinds of, say, hey, listen, in a perfect world, we thought we were going to get all this done, but we had this happen, natural disaster, this happened, you know, new president. All of those things happen, right? Don't make a professional, I wouldn't even say a delay, because those are delays. Everybody wants to get those things done. They just may not be able to get on the timeline, right? A professional delay is not a personal failure.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, executive leadership and board leadership makes it seem like there's something wrong with the person as opposed to really assessing the situation. You can't tell me, oh, we want all, as a provost, right? We want all of the programs that can be accredited externally beyond our regional accreditation. We want all of that. We want all of that. Okay. That count. I need some money.
Or we need this report right now.
You need it.
We need the numbers of how many slices of turkey did how many slices of turkey did the kids eat by like we can't operate like that. Yeah, boards
And
need to
even
know.
when you mentioned the DFW the DFW report, for those students who got D's in class, F's, or who withdrew, just in case you did, that's not to be used as a punitive action. I cannot impress upon boards and executive leadership enough. Do not use that as a punitive way for you to hold it. That means, okay, well, if everybody is flunking English,
It's a systemic issue, and they've been failing for years.
And we know that most of our students come from underfunded, under-resourced secondary education. When they came here, we needed the bodies, we needed the Pell Grants, we needed the numbers. But I got 2 tutors in the writing center.
And they on Title III.
And they on Title III. And been on Title III since Title III was Title III. Okay?
Or if you're in a non Title III school, they've been on this borrowed money for years.
Because so you do them a disservice. You do the institution and the students a disservice, but you want, well, they're not doing anything with those children. And they came here.
Well, you fired all of academic support
because you didn't think they need tutoring. And no math tutors, no reading tutors, the fact that we still have reading, we need students to take reading classes. But we allow them in. We bring them in. It is incumbent upon us as higher ed professionals. Have y'all heard this before? To make sure that they are better when they leave and with a degree than when they came in with a diploma.
And that's a board thing. That's a board determining what caliber student we are going to allow in, if you can, because there's some state that have taken over who you can and can't allow into your institution. But at the same time, if you're saying that, you gotta, as a board, you have to be clear on what support, where we aiming the finances and the budget and the human resources to. That's the board's job. So you need to know those things in order to make it happen. You just can't say, well, the students are unprepared. That's your job to tell us to cut off to what students you want to be in. That should be governed in the policy. I do want to leave some time for your rant, which is so
I've been ranting a lot all morning. So I've been ranting.
I know. I'm gonna give you a 5-minute rant. So okay, before we wrap it up.
Okay.
Let's do so what's the moral of the story with board governance and their competency?
Listen.
I know a face.
Listen. Communicate. Know your boundaries. Know your job. Trust.
Read.
You knew that was the next one, right? And read. To understand, not to pick on the people who are there doing the work. Work with them.
And question to learn, not question to
no gotcha.
Yeah.
No gotcha.
Yeah. So that is our board governance conversation. We'll continue this on. We do feel passionate about it. I don't think it's talked about enough. If the board needs the training needs to change. They need a little bit more emotional intelligence. They need to know about what's the real leader and what it takes and how to hire, how to identify it, how to make sure it's there before you name a president. Because it's going to dictate everything else in your institution. Employee retention, turnover, culture, student retention, it all starts with the board and then the president. And then speaking of presidents, Why must presidents unseat the whole cabinet? And let us hear this in our rant this week. It really did. It really did cause some steam to pop up out of her ears earlier this week. So
So
take
everyone
us
knows,
away.
yeah. So everyone knows, or maybe you don't, that there is this unspoken thing that a new president is going to get an entirely new cabinet. They may keep one or two depending, but they'll get a new provost, they'll get a new CFO, they'll get a why? You have good people in these positions. You get a new somebody, you got new, and then everybody has to relearn or learn and new visions. And it's unconscionable to do that, because then they literally are collateral damage because the president is either new or has fallen out with the board, right? But these are the people who are actually doing the work. So when a new president comes on, it should not be just automatic, oh, I want my own provost to watch my back. The provost's job is to run the academic enterprise and serve in the absence of the president. Because the president is supposed to be out there chasing the check anyway, right? We have to stop normalizing that when a new president comes in, everybody's losing their jobs, because you lose historical knowledge, you lose continuity of care and educational services for students because somebody new wants to come in, put their personal stamp on it, and it changes everything, even things that are working because it wasn't their idea. We've got to stop normalizing that. I one of the new transitional pieces, I saw they had a new president. Now all of a sudden they have to get a new provost. You have a good provost, because I know him personally. Now, unless he wants to leave on his own, but I know him personally, right? At one of these institutions, and I know he's a good provost. He's a good leader. And I've known this man 40 years, right? And is that just because, and then of course you get that 1 year to look for something else. And then you get into this whole idea of like recycling, but you got good people in positions. Now, if somebody's, not doing their jobs, of course. But to go in with the idea that you want someone entirely new, for what?
Yeah.
And that's why your faculty and your staff hardly ever buy in, because they know you're only going to be there a little while. Now, everybody has a shelf life, right? But it's automatic. So why would I buy into a transient at my institution? Because I live here and I work here. My mortgage is here, right? And so then they always get a new provost. So they can't say, well, yeah, I'm going to trust this one. I'm going to trust that one. Because as soon as they get going and something seems to be working well, then there's a breakdown, and either they leave, the new president comes in, and then it's all they got to start all over again. We have to stop normalizing that, to assess what's going on and assess those executive leadership, particularly at the provost, the CFO level, and your student affairs, because they build those relationships and they build trust with a lot more, and they have a lot more direct reports to the president and the board chair. And the work is done under those three offices. So when you start switching them out because you're new and you want somebody and it becomes this sort of hiring at the family reunion, we're always going to be behind and have those kinds of ideas, have those problems at our institutions. That's where the problems start. When you start making all those changes without merit. It's one thing if they're married, if there's a merit to them.
But it takes time to even see. And I think that's part of my, and we'll talk about presidential profiles, like characteristics and quality they should have. If you are a good leader, period, whether you're president, any director, dean, you're going to be able to assess what's there, take the time to understand who's there, learn them, and whether you like them or not, figure out a way to work together. That is social capital, that is emotional intelligence. Right. And so you shouldn't even, I would say, give it a year. Intentional, not with, I need to wait this year out and then she's going to be gone. No, give it a true year. Have that true time to figure out what's going on. Observe, like presidents need at least a year to observe regular. How are things going for a full year before they start making cuts and changes? That will give you a peace. It will give some continuity. It will put people at ease. But you should be able to work with the people who's there and assess if they are past their prime. They can't give the vision. They're not moving at the pace in which you needed to move. But even that, there's a space where you can either give development and see what they're missing to get the job done instead of just digging it up and throwing it out the window. I mean, that's part of the presidential leadership profile, is to be able to work with who's there, mold them, shape them, support them in order to have that consistency in your institution without going in like a bull in a china cabinet and throwing everything out.
Because if you come with those preconceived notions about who the people are, it's demoralizing. It's demoralizing for a cabinet. And you have some presidents. Now, by the time I've been in institutions where I was an institution that by the time I was confirmed in October, there were 3 confirmations of 3 separate CFOs because they keep churning them out. Other institutions, but you bring in this person, and that whole board turned on the president.
Friends, colleagues, personal picks.
And so it throws the entire balance off, and you can't go forward because you are returning favors, or you're bringing in friends, or you're disrupting the progress. I'm not saying don't hire good people for these positions if you see a need, but let it not be an automatic given that a new president is going to want a new provost, a new CFO, a new VP of student affairs. That disrupts what could be some good work going on, and you can acknowledge good work even if it's not your idea. So that's my rant for today.
Well, thank you all for joining. Thank you for being with us. If we decide to get this podcast edited, it may just go out as is, organic, raw.
That's who we are. We're showing a lot of restraint. Trust me. You can't get worse.
But thank you so much for joining us. Tune in on the next episode. You can follow us on IG. Be the first one of our followers to our brand spanking new page, and also like and subscribe on YouTube. We'll be doing some other stuff in between. We might have some extra content on YouTube that we'll do some special interviews and things. So be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube as well as anywhere you get your podcast. As always, keep fighting to dismantle the system so that our students can have an equitable path to higher education and a better life. That is the true mission of higher education, and we want to make sure that happens. So keep the faith. Don't burn yourself out. Do the best you can for as long as you can, and we'll always be here to champion the work that you do. Well, till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. This episode was sponsored by Holistic Higher Ed Solutions, committed to enhancing student success. From coaching to planning, our practitioners empower institutions. Ready to transform? Visit holisticheredsolutions.com and let's revolutionize higher ed together. Be sure to subscribe, review, and join us next time.